She felt it before the world saw it. In the stillness of the night, the wind whispered things only an old soul could understand. The candle flickered with no breeze. The bell on her altar rang with no hand to shake it. Madame Sulamita, with her centuries-old spirit, opened her heart and heard the earth's cry. It wasn't just a volcano erupting in Iceland. It was the earth opening its wounds, revealing pain too long silenced. She closed her eyes and was taken to the heart of the fire. She saw the ground tearing apart, magma like blood, and spirits, ancient and restless, emerging from the smoke. These were not demons. They were guardians, awakened from the depths. They came not to destroy, but to cleanse. And this, she whispered to the invisible ones who listened, was only the beginning. Madame Sulamita stood in the midst of fire, not fire of the body, but of the soul. Around her danced shadows with flaming eyes, ancient and knowing. The ground beneath her cracked in every direction, like veins of the planet bursting. Tourists screamed, but it was not their voices that mattered. It was the roar of the earth itself. A male spirit, cloaked in black lava, walked toward her, his gaze piercing like coal in the dark. "Tell your people, this land bleeds for all who have turned their backs on the sacred." His voice didn't echo in the air, it echoed inside her chest, vibrating her bones. The warning wasn't for Iceland alone, it was for all. The earth was purging, and for every ritual broken, every ancestor forgotten, the fire would rise. From the northern ice to the tropical heart of South America, Madame Sulamita saw a red thread, a line of spiritual fire connecting Iceland to Brazil. "Why Brazil?" she asked. The spirits answered, "Because it holds the seeds of the future. But seeds don't grow in corrupted soil." The vision showed rivers rising where there were once roads, skies darkening above Sao Paulo, and invisible illnesses moving like shadows, not in flesh, but in energy. The volcano was just a trumpet, a siren of what would come if the land didn't awaken. The spirits urged for a deep cleansing, spiritual, emotional, physical. Fires in the north, floods in the south, all karmic echoes of human arrogance and disconnection. That night, Madame Sulamita was visited by two ancient forces. The first, an elder with eyes glowing like burning coals, placed a silver staff upon her altar. "With fire we begin, with silence we end," he spoke and vanished into light. The second, a woman veiled in blue mist, wept quietly. Her tears turned into salt on the floor. They run from the fire, but they do not cleanse their souls. Madame Sulamita saw nations lifting hands to pray for rain, for peace, but not one lifted hand to change the heart. The guardians warned, volcanoes are voices of judgment, but also keys to rebirth. The earth does not destroy, it transforms. As lava painted the Icelandic ground red, Madame Sulamita saw men in dark rooms wearing smiles like masks. "They'll use this to hide their sins," a spirit murmured. Geopolitical tricks, collapses dressed as coincidences, laws passed under the shadow of ash. She saw borders close, markets fall, and leaders shaking hands with snakes in their sleeves. The volcano had become a curtain, and behind it, a play of deception unfolded. But the spirits reminded her, truth has its own fire. It burns slow, but deep. And no bunker will protect those who lie from the fire of karma. In her next vision, Madame Sulamita saw 3 more eruptions, Ecuador, Indonesia, and one not yet revealed. But the greatest threat wasn't fire, it was smoke. not smoke of ash, but of energy, thick and gray, descending over Brazil. It clouded hearts before it clouded skies. It came from lies, betrayal, and collective spiritual sleep. The fog will cover hearts before it covers heavens, the female guardian said. Still, hope flickered. Sulamita saw hands lighting candles, children singing softly, old women whispering forgotten hymns to the wind. Where there is faith, there is fire. And the fog, no matter how dense, fears the light of truth. Don't just survive, align, Madame Sulamita warned. In her vision, she was given sacred protocols for protection. Light a white candle at dawn. Place sea salt in every corner of your home. Speak aloud the names of your ancestors. Bathe in rue, rosemary, and basil. Resist arguments. Silence your envy. You cannot stop the fire, said the male guardian, but you can make your house invisible to its wrath. These rituals were passed not out of fear, but reverence. They were not to escape fate, but to rise above it. For those who honor the earth offers peace. Madame Sulamita's heart trembled at what she saw next. Nations deaf to the signs, sacred lands sold, temples turned into markets of ego and greed. The fire was not a punishment. It was karma collecting its debts. She saw past lives colliding with the present, kings who betrayed, now reborn as puppets, souls who enslaved, now trapped in illusions. There is no innocent soil, a spirit said, but there is always the chance to plant something new. The volcano's eruption became a mirror, and every soul had to ask, what is burning in me? People tremble when the ground shakes, but Madame Sulamita asked, do they tremble when they lie, when they betray, when they forget the sacred? Fear without reflection is wasted pain. Faith without action is vanity. The earth seeks not pity, but respect. She saw villages forming prayer circles instead of protests, families building altars instead of bunkers, forgiveness spoken instead of curses. The only true shelter is the spirit, and the only true shield is truth. In the flame's reflection, she saw each soul. Some would awaken, some would mock, but all would be tested. In her final vision, Madame Sulamita stood alone between fire and sea. The land split. A golden figure rose from the abyss. It was not angel. It was not demon. It was balance made form. One last chance. The earth has spoken. Will you change? Then silence. The wind stopped. Even the spirits bowed. When she returned to herself, her face was wet with tears, not her own. She looked at the candle. It was still lit. She looked at the bell. It no longer moved. And she knew this message wasn't to scare. It was to awaken. Share this. Prepare. But above all, return to what is sacred.